What's up guys, and here I've got the iPad mini 4 and I'm going to be comparing it to the iPad mini 3 and giving you guys a good idea of how they stack up. And let me tell you, there is a lot that's changed. Now, beginning with the design, it's actually been slimmed down, it's a lot easier to hold now, and overall it's just a more beautiful device. The buttons and the microphones on the device have been rearranged, the mute switch has been removed in order to make this thing a little bit slimmer. The speaker grills on the bottom of the device are now in one row instead of two. Now, the iPad mini has been neglected by Apple lately, so they wanted to change it up with the iPad mini 4, and they've put in a whole bunch of improvements. And I just want to say that the design of this thing does look great. I mean, it's very slim, and besides that, the display is where most of the changes are at. Now it's laminated, so the LCD and the top layer of glass are now fused together, which makes the contrast ratio a little bit better, the display a little bit crisper, and it's overall just more pleasant to look at. Now, the real changes come in the lower light test, but I just wanted to take a moment to mention that Apple did also change the type of coating they placed on the display. Now it's less reflective, and fingerprints are supposedly supposed to be less apparent. However, for me, I can see them more when the display is off. When the display is on, you can't really tell on either one. When looking at both of these displays side by side, the iPad mini 4 has a lot of life to it. The mini 3 looks dull and kind of gray. It's more apparent when you're actually looking at photos in the dark. So on the left is the iPad mini 4, and it's a little bit more vibrant. There's more life to the photos, and in person you'll be able to tell more of a difference, but there certainly is one. Now, the main change in the iPad mini 4 is the internal hardware. So Apple stuck the A8 chip from the iPhone 6 into it. They slightly overclocked it at 1.5 gigahertz, and they stuck 2 gigs of RAM inside. This paired with iOS 9 made for a great combo. This thing runs great. So just using the devices, you'll notice that the iPad mini 4 is so much more responsive. I mean, on iOS 9, the iPad mini 3 doesn't fare as well because it doesn't have 2 gigs of RAM, and all around it's just, you know, a lot smoother. So opening up applications, you'll definitely notice that the Mini 4 has a slight advantage over the Mini 3. Things load faster, especially sub menus. So the more loaded your device is, of course, the bigger of a difference you will be able to tell. The iPad Mini 3 has a 1.3 gigahertz dual core, so it's 0.2 gigahertz less, and it's a lot older architecture. It's the Apple A7 chip. So all of this is painfully apparent. I mean, if you're going to be using these side by side, you can totally tell the Mini 4 is a lot more responsive. So let's go ahead and do a Geekbench and see how these actually stack up in terms of numbers. And here we are. So there isn't as much of a difference as I thought there would be. This is going from an Apple A7 chip to an A8. So there is, I'd say, about a 20% improvement. I mean, it's not that much, but the 2 gigabytes of RAM is better for multitasking and more hardware intensive applications such as gaming. In case you needed some perspective, here's the iPad mini original on the very right. Look how far we've gotten. I mean, the iPad mini 4 is 6 times faster. That is crazy. And just out of curiosity, I wanted to see how the iPad Air 2 compared to the Mini 4, and yeah, they're still quite a ways off. Now, Apple's claiming officially that the GPU in the Mini 4 is 1.6 times faster than the Mini 3, and the CPU is 1.3 times faster. So what does this mean? Basically, you're going to get a lot more improvement in performance when playing games, you know, video editing, more intensive stuff. It really will matter, even just basic usability, launching applications and stuff like that, but gaming is really enjoyable. I didn't have a problem with the Mini 3, but on the Mini 4, things run so smooth, and 60 frames per second in games looks really cool. Now, if none of that is appealing to you, let me talk about these software features. So the iPad mini 4 can handle split screen view and actually split screen multitasking, not just the slide over that the Mini 3 has. So you can actually run simultaneously 2 apps at the same time and also play picture in picture from Safari or any different application. So be watching a little video in the corner and be doing split screen multitasking. It is so cool just how powerful the 2 gigabyte of RAM enables this thing to be. And this thing really is a productivity monster. I mean, if you wanted to get one for school, the iPad mini 4 will do so much better being able to run 2 applications at the same time. I mean, imagine being able to write notes on one side and browsing the internet on the other side. Now, when it comes to battery life, unfortunately, the battery capacity has gone down, and a significant amount actually. And that, of course, is the sacrifice you have to pay in order to get such a slim, small device. However, battery life remains the same at 10 hours of regular usage. And this brings me to cameras. So Apple actually repositioned the microphones closer to the camera so a case wouldn't interfere with them. And the iPad mini 4 actually got a considerable camera upgrade. It's now 8 megapixels, and it can now do fast burst mode photos, slow motion, and actually in terms of quality, it's perceived a huge upgrade. So here's the actual camera footage, the Mini 4 being the one on the left. The colors were more accurate on the Mini 3 for some reason. They were a little bit washed out on the Mini 4. I don't really know why, but otherwise both do look great. Neither have optical image stabilization, so they're kind of shaky, of course, when recording video. I mean, it's not a point and shoot, it's an iPad, but it is great that Apple did upgrade the camera, and it is apparent when shooting video that the quality was better on the Mini 4. However, when taking photos, I was a bit disappointed. The Mini 4 didn't really do as good as the Mini 3, and that baffled me. Why? The colors looked a little bit better on the Mini 3, even though the image was sharper on the Mini 4, the colors just didn't pop. They didn't look as good, and the low light looked a lot better on the Mini 4. And the iPad Mini 4 now has slow motion, which looks great. Now the front-facing camera remains at 1.2 megapixels, but the ambient light sensor on the front next to the camera was relocated and is hidden somewhere in the bezel. So what else? Well, the wireless was upgraded. It now supports AC standard. So on the left is the Mini 4. It achieved a much better download speed, and overall the wireless connection is going to be stronger over a longer distance. And the Mini 4 got Bluetooth 4.2. Not many accessories take advantage of this yet, but it's good to be future-proofed. Now, something I was very pleased to find was that the speakers received a much-needed upgrade on the Mini 4. Now, it's a deeper, richer, and more ambient sound. Now, something that I thought was really interesting, the Mini 4 on the right, the internals were swapped around, so a lot has changed, even though it may not appear like it. So here's what you get for your hard-earned $400. Before you hand them over for the iPad Mini 4, do consider that the battery is smaller, although it doesn't take any effect on the battery life. It is slightly taller, so your old cases will not work. Otherwise, it's a great buy. I mean, there's so much packed into it, so it definitely is worth the $400. It may not be worth it to upgrade from a 2 or a 3 because really, I mean, it does have a few nice surprises, but I wouldn't get a whole new iPad because of them. So there you go. That's the iPad Mini 4. Now, be sure to check out the individual review about this device. I talk a little bit more in depth about it, but overall, it looks like a great upgrade from a Mini 3. However, I personally would not pay money just to upgrade from a Mini 3 to a Mini 4. I mean, choosing between the two, it's clear that it's worth paying more for the Mini 4 than the Mini 3, but to upgrade, not so much. Anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed this comparison. You know, iPad Mini 4 is a great device, and I hope you guys do enjoy it if you do decide to get it. Have a great day. Be sure to subscribe for many more videos and like this video. It does help me a lot if you liked it. Peace.